What's up, people, and welcome to a video that's probably going to make some people mad, but it needs to be said. I am a firm believer in horseshoe theory, and for those of you that don't know what that is, that means that if you go too far in either direction, eventually those two things are going to meet, or at least touch tips, right? And the example that I would like to use, because I've been seeing a lot of it lately, is anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, anti-Jewishness, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm pretty sure anti-Semitism would be the most accurate descriptor of this. And it's something that I kind of expected because, you know, before all of this Israel-Palestine stuff kicked off, you know, you already knew that if you go too far right, then you run into the Nazis, right? I mean, that's just a given. But after October 7th, now it's if you go too far left, you run into the Nazis. And it's one of those things where you have this combined hatred of Jewish people in general under the guise of anti-Zionism, right? And you see that a lot from the left. They'll be like, oh, we're not anti-Jew, we're anti-Zionist. Whereas the right will just say we're anti-Jew. You know what I'm saying? So it's ironic that you have all these people, and the only reason I'm even making this video is because of one specific person, and that specific person is Candace Owens, who happened to work under a Jewish man, that was Ben Shapiro. And after the October 7th stuff happened, she kind of went off the rails and started catering to the Groyper crowd. And I get where the criticism comes from the people that are trying to follow along with her, whereas I don't agree with the delivery. And I brought this up on stream today, how when I say I don't like AIPAC, it's not because AIPAC has anything to do with Jews or Israel or anything like that. It has to do with the fact that these people are buying politicians both on the left and the right side. That's a valid criticism, right? You can't just say, oh no, these people are buying votes so that way they can control our government to give more money to Israel. Now you're running into the Candace Owens territory, right? And honestly, that's kind of what started this whole thing, was the fact that AIPAC was dumping, you know, millions of dollars into getting their candidate of choice into office. And you have all these people going, wait a minute, well, what they're buying Democrats, they're buying Republicans, they've got their own uniparty, essentially. And that's a fair criticism to me. But I don't like PACs in general. I don't like super PACs in general. I don't like fucking lobbying and all these politicians that are basically taking money just so that they can have whatever this person wants on the agenda, right? I don't like that, Jewish or otherwise. And you know, it's a whole lot of things. I actually have many Jewish friends. I don't consider myself an anti-Semite. But if you don't want the U.S. to give money to Israel, then you're an anti-Semite. If you don't want the U.S. to give money to the Ukraine, then you're a communist, a socialist, whatever. You know, people always come up with all these different terms to call you whenever you disagree with their opinion or their agenda. And yeah, there's a difference between leveling criticism at something, you know, just so that there's some more clarity, and that difference is that a lot of these influencers, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, you know, are saying kind of the things that I'm saying, but adding a whole bunch of shit on top of it that is just blatantly anti-Semitic. You know, I'm waiting for the point when Candace Owens starts, if she hasn't already, going down the Holocaust denial route. Yeah, it's real easy at least on the right, for these people to criticize Israel because they think, everything is controlled by Jews. That's just how these people think. From the left, that was a little bit more predictable because after the Israel-Palestine conflict started, they look at Israel as the oppressors, right? And Palestine is the victim. Never mind the fact that Palestine, had Hamas in power and, they associate with terrorists, this, that, and the other. But that's besides the point. So it was predictable when this whole thing went down that the left was going to eat itself alive, even though there were a lot of Jewish people on the left, because, it's kind of like the joke that the NPC programming has changed, right? So now they see this as another cause that they can champion, the Palestine movement, free Palestine from the river to the sea. What else do they have? Anti-Zionism, whatever you want to call it. And it's one of those things where I don't know how the Democrat Party is going to recover from this rift, because you have so many people that are basically converted to what we would call far left at this point, simply because they view Palestine as the underdog. They think there's a genocide happening, whereas, most Jewish Americans are going, wait a minute, Israel's just defending itself. But yeah, we had the RNC, right? And at the RNC, there were a couple minor incidents. Like, there was no really big protests. There was no crazy shit that happened during the RNC. Whereas now that the DNC is about to kick off tomorrow, there's been stories of pallets of bricks showing up, how there's all these protesters being bussed in and this, that, and the other. And that's just because the left loves to purity test. Don't get me wrong, the right does it too. But the left is notoriously bad about purity testing its own side. Who's more for the cause than whoever else. And it's honestly funny to me, because my stance, me personally, is that I don't want us to get involved in anything outside of our own affairs. That's just me, right? But you have a lot of people that are like, no, we have to do this. We have to send money. We have to do this. We have to do that. And then the rest of us are like, why don't we just stay out of it and fix our own shit, right? But the one thing I don't agree with, and I have never agreed with it, especially on, at least from the right, most of the time I lean right on issues. Sometimes I lean left. It just depends on what the policy or the issue is. And in the instance of, anti-Semitism, I've never sided with people like the Groypers, the Fuentes simps, all these other just asking questions bros, type shit. Because that's a cop-out. It's a cop-out of just not liking Jewish people, period. That's all it is. And yeah, I don't know. As I said, that they're bringing in bricks. You have the left showing up, and I don't understand how people that are currently Democrats, that vote Democrat, don't realize that they have been courting these far left extremists, communists, Marxists, and just been letting them do and say whatever they want. And now, they're paying the price for it. The right, conservatives, have usually called stuff out like that. A lot of people look at people like Candace Owens as a joke at this point. Fuentes is a joke. All these other, Andrew Tate is a joke now. It's all these people that gained an audience, spouting whatever nonsense they wanted to under the guise of being on the right or anti-woke or whatever you want to call it, and rightfully getting called out for having dog shit takes. But you weren't seeing that coming out of the left. You weren't seeing that coming out of Democrats of, you need to chill out with the rhetoric. And I have videos. I think I did a video. Well, I know I did a video not that long ago about, you know, the pro-Palestine protests that was happening, and you have this girl just spitting straight up, "We will destroy the Jews" type rhetoric, and nobody said anything. There wasn't a single peep from the left, and now it's biting them in the ass. You see people like Brianna Wu going, "Well, I'm a Zionist and I stand with Israel," and then it's always that side that is sitting there going, "Oh, well, you approve of genocide, whatever." And I think most people in the middle, like myself, just want the conflict to end. I'm not rooting for a side. I don't think most people don't cheer when other people die. But, you know, it's not our fight. And yeah, it's the one thing that seems to be tearing the Democrat Party apart, whereas on the right, it's always been there, but people are starting to speak up even more to kind of drown out those voices like Candace Owens at this point. But yeah, either way, it's bad. It's not good. You know, just the same way that you don't judge somebody based on their skin color, despite what leftists say. You shouldn't do that based on religion either. You know, just because somebody is Jewish, that doesn't automatically make them a bad person, which is how all these people are starting to speak. And, you know, they blame Twitter, they blame Elon Musk or X or whatever you're going to call it. You know, "Oh, you know, it's your fault that all these people are speaking and saying all these horrible things." Yeah, but you want them to do that. You want people to say things out loud so you know exactly what type of person they are. And that's why with the upcoming election, people ask me, "Well, how can you vote for Trump? Why don't you want to vote for Kamala?" Because I'm seeing all these lies come out of the Democrat Party and nobody is saying anything. Nobody. The only people that are saying it are the people that aren't going to vote for her. Whereas the people on her side will just continue to push the lie, push the lie, push the lie. And there's no pushback from other Democrats going, "Hey, we might win some voters over if we don't lie." Because when Donald Trump lies, it's out there immediately. "Oh, he lied." You can look at it and go, "All right, that's not that big a deal." Or you can go, "Yep, that's a really big deal." Right? But you don't see that from the other side. And at the end of the day, the only way I see the Democrats making any sort of headway in this election is by curbing the blatant anti-Semitic rhetoric that is coming from its own side. But we'll see if they even do it. You know, they've made a habit out of trying to bring in as many people as possible under an umbrella, and now it's gone too far. You know, even progressives are going, "Well, I don't know if I want to be a progressive anymore because this is kind of bad." So it's not again, this isn't a new phenomenon. It's just interesting to see it, you know, to see horseshoe theory in action, and to see all these people that are, you know, claiming to have some sort of moral high ground over everybody else. You know, basically the same thing. The people that call everybody else Nazis are behaving like the Nazis. That's a better analogy for the whole thing that's happening. So, yeah, I think the DNC is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, don't be like the crazy people.